Here's some questions where you are asked to find the lowest common multiple. Lowest common multiples, it's like you're looking for the lowest common denominator for a fraction. So say, for example, if I had 1/4 plus 1/6, and I wanted to find the lowest common multiple or lowest common denominator for this. So the lowest common denominator, I'm looking for a number that both of these will divide into evenly. And I want to get the lowest one. It turns out you don't have to have the lowest one, but if you don't pick the lowest one, it would cause more work at the end of the question. So it's easier to pick the lowest one. So I want to find the smallest number that both 4 and 6 will divide into. Don't get stuck into the trap where you're thinking a greatest common factor. Like for these two, a greatest common factor would be 2. 2 is a number that will go into both of them. But I'm looking for the a number, typically bigger or the same as the largest one here, that both these numbers will divide into, like 10. Well, no, 10. 4 and 6 won't go into 10. But 24, they'll both go into 24. But is that the lowest one? Maybe 12. So 12 would be my lowest common denominator or lowest common multiple. And that's what we're looking for. To get that, one thing that you can do is you can factor out the numbers. So like 4, you can write 2 times 2. 6 is the same as 2 times 3. Then to get the lowest common multiple, what you do is you just include each factor the most number of times that it occurs. So here I've got 2's. It looks like I have 2's and 3's in my factorizations. So I write down each factor the most number of times it occurs. So here, there's 2's. That's the most number of times that 2 occurs. This one only has 1. This one has 2. I'm writing down a 2. And then 3, it occurs once here and it doesn't occur here. So the most number of times that 3 occurs is once. So I need to include a 3 as well. So 2 times 2 is 4 times 3 is 12. That's how I can get my lowest common multiple or lowest common denominator. So for this question here, if I factor this out, it'd be like 3 times 7 times x times y, and 7 times x times y. So then I look at each factor. So there's a 3, a 7, an x, and a y. Those are all the different types of factors. And I just include the most number of times that they occur. So for 3's, it occurs once here, none here. So once is the highest number of times it occurs. 7's, once there, once there. Once is the highest number, so I put a 7. X's, it occurs twice here and only once there, so twice is what I need to go with. Y's, once here, once there, so all I need is a 1 or 1y. So this thing that results then is my lowest common multiple. And if I were adding or subtracting some fractions, this would be my lowest common denominator. And so this would turn out to be 21x squared y. That's what I would use for my lowest common multiple or lowest common denominator. Let's try it with a couple other expressions. So here I have 5y minus 15, and then y squared minus that stuff. So for each one, I'm going to factor it. So because I need to find my lowest common multiple, I need to be looking at factors the most number of times that they occur. So for this one, I can factor out a 5, left with 5 minus 15, or y minus, not 15, y minus 5. Okay, and then on the next one, I think I can break that into this. A y here, a y here. They'll both be minus 9, or 3 times 3. So my factors are, going back to this question, I think I did that wrong too, didn't I? If I factor 5 out, that should be a 3. Okay, so going back to my factors, I have a 5, I have y minus 3, and then over here I have 2y minus 3's. So my lowest common multiple has to include each factor the most number of times that it occurs. So 5 occurs once here, none over here, so I need 1. I just need 1 5. Y minus 3, there's 1 of them here, but there's 2 over here, so my lowest common multiple, I need to include 2 of them. That would be my lowest common multiple. Okay, let's try one more. Okay, so here I've got, looks like I've got three different expressions, that one, and this one. Let's factor each of them. So the first one, I'm going to factor out a common x cubed, I think. So I'd be left with x squared minus 4 x plus, if I divide this by x cubed, I'd just be left with a 4. Ooh, I might need to factor that again. Okay, the next one, I think I can take a 3 out, left with x squared minus 4. The last one, I think I can take a 2 out, left with x plus 2. Okay, so this one here looks like I can give that, factor that into two more brackets. It looks like it'd be an x minus 2 and another x minus 2. This one, oh, that's a difference of squares. So I can put that into two brackets as well. X minus 2, x plus 2. And then the last one, I can't do anything else with that. So to find my lowest common multiple, I'm going to take each factor and take a look at it and find the most number of times it occurs. So x's, there's 3 of them here. There's no x's by themselves here. No x's by themselves there. So x cubed wins. So for x's, 3 x's. Okay, x minus 2 is the next factor. Here it occurs twice. Here it occurs once. Here it doesn't occur. So the most number of times it occurs is twice from that first one. Okay, good so far. Now 3. 3 doesn't occur in this factor. It occurs once here, doesn't include there. So the most number of times it occurs is just once. So I put a 3 there. X minus 2, I already have found out the winner for the x minus 2's. X plus 2, it occurs once here, and none in the first one. So the most number of times that an x plus 2 occurs is once. Just right there. So in my lowest common multiple, I just need one of them. Okay, looking at the last expression, that has a 2. There's only 1 2 here, there's none there, and there's none out front. So I needed to have just 1 2. And x plus 2's, I've already found the winner there. So this would be my lowest common multiple. I'd probably rewrite it so the 3 times 2, I'd make that a 6. And then I'd have my x cubed, and then my x minus 2 squared, and an x plus 2. That's probably how I'd rewrite my lowest common multiple. Okay, hopefully that's helping you get in the idea of the lowest common multiples.